of May. It's an ideal night for chess in Melbourne, pouring rain and freezing cold. So hopefully we'll have an interesting night's chess. Now I have with me today Ryan Kam. Hello Ryan.
Hi.
I told him to speak loudly but not too loudly. All right, now how old are you, Ryan?
I am 10 years old.
10 years old, all right. What school do you go to?
Rana Park Primary School.
Okay, and your chess kids rating should be there somewhere. What is it?
Yes, it is 1,148.
All right, that's pretty good. Now you're a junior master, so that's good. For you other guys there who aren't junior masters yet, you might not like to have a look down the page at all the tournaments that Ryan's been playing in. You see he plays heaps of chess, so that's probably one of the secrets to becoming a good player. Okay. Now, I've set up two positions for you to have a look at on the left, so I hope you've been studying them. We'll go and have a look at them later on as we're looking through some of the games. Now, let's start off with the first game. I'm just moving my screens around here. And if you guys want to ask any questions or make a comment or something, just type in one of the questions, and I'll be asking you several questions throughout the day as well, and you can type in your answers there as we go along. So the first game that we're going to have a look at, I think I've loaded the wrong one here. Hang on, file, load game. We'll have a look at the Chen game first, I think. Okay, this was this in the national finals?
Yes.
All right, and you were black. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's get started. So it's a normal, okay, we've gone the three knights. Now, if he plays the knight g5 line, are you prepared for that? Do you know what to do against that?
Yes, I do.
What do you do?
I do knight d4.
Knight d, so if he plays knight g5 now.
Oh, I mean, no, sorry, no.
You play
d5.
Pawn to d5.
Knight, and then after takes, knight d4.
Okay, all right, so you know what to do. That's the main thing. But he didn't go in for that. He put out his knight. You develop normally. d3. Right, okay. Now, black to play. I'll give you a choice of two moves that you could play. You could either play d6 or h6. So which one of them would you prefer, do you think?
I think maybe h6.
All right, tell me why you prefer h6.
So you can't pin up knight and brings knight to d5 and cause some trouble on that knight on f6.
So you're really worried about the pin?
Yes, a bit worrying.
All right, well let's have a look what would happen. So let's say you played d6 and he pinned you. What could you do then?
I could have also pinned him, or I could have done h6, or I could have castled.
But we're worried about knight d5, so how about we tell him to go away?
Yeah.
So now if he takes us, that's going to be okay for us, isn't it? Because it gets rid of the pin and everything. So he goes back. All right, what could you do now? Are you still worried about the pin, or can you get out of it?
Well, we can do g5 and
all right, what if you did it now? Would that be good or bad?
Well, it weakens our king if we castle king side.
Yeah, but the point is you haven't castled king side.
So we can still castle queen side.
So you can still castle queen side, and you've now locked his bishop right out of the game and everything. So personally, if it was me, I wouldn't be scared of that pin just at this stage. Now, the trouble is, if you do h6, which is the move you did, you've sort of like stopped his pin, but his bishop could equally well just go to e3. That's a good move for him. So you've stopped one good move, but not the other one, and h6 isn't a developing move for you, whereas d6, that's letting your pieces out, and that's better. So I think a lot of juniors, they very much tend to play h6 or a3 or h3 or something to prevent pins, and they don't really have to. So just a little small point. All right, he went in bishop there. Okay, now you can do a few things. You can take him, or you can play pawn to d6 to protect your back to b6. Which do you think would be good?
Well, I don't actually know.
You're not sure?
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
All right. Okay, the one you chose was d6. Probably not quite the best one. What you normally do is drop the bishop back. So that way, if he takes you, you can take with the A pawn, gets your pawn closer to the centre, opens up for the rook, and he's lost control of all the dark squares then. Whereas if you were to take him, that maybe opens up the F file and brings his pawn closer to the centre, so we're not keen to do that. So next time, remember, drop the bishop back, I'd say. All right, you went for d6, and he did the chop. Chop. Now, he's got the same idea as you. He's scared of the pin, so he did h3. All right, if you guys out there, he actually has quite a good move here. Could you, on your question, type in what you think might be a better move for white than the play safe h3 sort of move? Can anyone see a good move for white? Start typing on the questions if you've got an idea. Ryan's thinking hard as well.
It could be castles, or it could be knight d5, it could be bishop d5.
Right. Heath suggested something. Gabby suggested something. And Zoe wants the castle. Right. Heath and Gabby are right. A good move for white would have been bishop b5. You see, he's now pinning your knight. He's threatening your e pawn. And like, if you protect your e pawn, he could possibly take on c6, and you've got tripled horrible pawns.
What happens if you quite off?
See, like if he pinned you, or if you pin him rather, he could just take on c6, and you've got triple pawns, which is pretty horrible. All right, so he missed his chance because he was playing a bit too defensive too. So he went in for h3. All right, castle, that was good. Then he made a silly move, moving a piece twice in the opening when he hasn't completed his development and stuff. So this is good for you. You just chopped him off. He chopped back. Then you attacked him with a developing move, so that's all cool. He went back again, and you moved the queen there. So you're going well. You're like 2 moves ahead in development, and you've got a bit more control of the centre. This is one of the things about being a junior master. Like, unlike some of the other kids, you don't blunder your pieces and walk into mate in one and things like that.
I still do sometimes.
You make small mistakes, and I think we have a little bit of a problem with working out plans. We'll get onto that in a second. But you're going great guns here. So what does he do? He probably castles. Let's press the button and have a look. Yep, he castles. You develop your undeveloped rook, putting it on the half-open file. So that's good. He plays queen d2, and then you hit him with c4. What, you happy with that? That's a good move?
I think so.
Why is that a good move? Explain that to everyone.
Because I'm attacking, I'm putting pressure on that d3 pawn,
yep.
And he can't take it back because it's a pin on his queen.
And it gets rid of your double pawn as well.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's not too bad. All right. So he plays rook d1. All right. Now, the question is what to do here. Now, let me see. I'll give you guys out there a choice of 2 moves, and we might have our first poll if I can find the poll button. All right. Now, if you were black, would you play c takes d3? So that's the first choice. Or would you play f5 to try and get something going on the king side and get that rook into play? So we've got c takes d3 or f5. Those are the 2 moves. I'll just give you 5 seconds or so to have a think about which you prefer. All right, we'll launch our poll now. Here we go. So start voting. No, not you. Which of the 2 you want? I'll ask you in a minute. All right, where are the votes? Oh, it's pretty close. F5's got 60% almost coming back. C takes D3 is catching up a bit. Everyone voted. Give me another couple of seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll close the poll. Let's have a look. What do people think? So, 55% want F5 and 45 want C takes D3. So that's pretty close. We're not quite sure. So, Ryan, you've got the casting vote. What would you play?
F5.
All right. Why do you want to play F5?
Because then it opens up space on the king's side. You got 2 pawns side by side, and then you got more space on the king's side. And yeah, and you've developed, and then your F rook might become better later.
All right, true.
Yes.
Now, they're both reasonably good moves, and you've said some good reasons why F5 might be good. You've got the 2 pawns side by side, you're getting your rook into it, maybe you're attacking a bit on the king's side. Were it me, I would play C takes D3. So the reason being, so let's say we go C takes D3, C takes D3. So in this position, positionally, he's got a really big weakness. Can you tell me what the weakness is?
That pawn there.
The pawn on D3. He's got a backward pawn on a half-open file. So what logically should be your plan? Do you need to sort of like attack his king and mate him? Or
attack the D3
yeah,
pawn.
so you've in this position, you've got a clear plan to positionally attack that pawn. So like you could play queen F6 to control the D4 square, and you've got the subtle little threat of bishop takes H3. Then you just double your rooks on the D file, and you've sort of got him all under pressure without taking any risks or giving him any counterplay or anything like that. All right, so that's a nice safe option. So F5 is all right, but it's like you're attacking on 2 fronts where you didn't have to, and maybe this will give him counterplay. So he played rook E1, but for instance, he could perhaps have taken the pawn. You take with the bishop, and then he plays queen E3, and now you can see you're attacking his D pawn, but he can counterattack your E pawn. He's taking it with knight and a queen, he can put a rook there. So now you've got a weakness too. Okay, so you've sort of like given him that chance, whereas in the other variation, you didn't really have to give him the chance. Okay. Anyway, fortunately, he didn't take the pawn. He put his rook on E1. All right, and then you went king over there. Why is your king going over there? Can you tell me about that one?
Because I thought I had no moves to make.
You didn't know what to do?
Yes.
Okay, I thought that might be the reason. All right, why didn't you know what to do?
Because I didn't see anything good in this position. But later, I saw that I could have taken the E4 pawn and taken the, when he takes back, I take the H3 pawn on my bishop.
And you maybe win the pawn.
Yeah.
All right, but why don't you think you've got anything to do? Like you played F5, that's an attacking move. You've got 2 pawns side by side, so you can either take or you can push past and gain space, or you can double on the D pawn. Aren't there lots of things you can do?
Oh yeah, but I was not so good at that time, I think. Maybe I wasn't exactly sure.
Okay. All right, well that's probably a common problem that players don't know what to do when they get into the middle game. So what you do is you look at the nature of the position. You have a general look, like we did before, and we said, hey, he's got a weak D pawn. I've got a good idea. Let's gang up on that. So you have a look at this position. You can either say, all right, I'm ganging up on the D pawn, or maybe you could say, I'm going to push that pawn to F4 and then play G5, and I'm going to throw my pawns at him, try and attack his king. Or I could play F takes E4 and maybe do something with that rook. You know, if you analyse the nature of the position, there's quite a few things you can do. So King H8 was a bit of a waste of time. He did A3. What does that tell you? He doesn't know what to do either. Oh dear, it's going to get pretty exciting if neither player knows what to do. And then you hit him with A6. Another non-I'll pass move because I don't know what to do. And then he ran away to C1 to get his queen out of that pin. I think you chopped, he chopped. All right. Now, so we get to this position. So the question is, let's say he offered you a draw. So materials even, nothing much has happened so far. So what do you guys think? Should we have a draw? Should we not have a draw? So have a look at the position. You're black. He's just taken the pawn back, offered a draw. Would you accept? Yes or no? So start voting. What do you think?
No.
Got a few for yes, quite a few for no. Another 5 seconds and we'll close it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, let's close the poll. Have a sticky beak. 90% say no. 10% say yes. Okay. So they must have a plan.
Yeah.
But you did king back again. And did you offer him a draw?
I think so.
I think you might have, because
Yeah,
on the
I
score
did,
sheet it says draw.
Yeah, I did.
So he says yes, please. So So what are you thinking at the time? Why do you ask him for a draw?
Because I thought I had nothing to do like before.
You had nothing to do. All right. Was he much stronger than you, or weaker, or the same?
Well, his rating was much higher than mine.
Okay, so a draw's not a bad result. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. I say to all the juniors, as I said in my speech at the Australian Junior, is I don't like draws, because you don't really learn anything from it if you have a Grandmaster draw after 15 or 20 moves. So unless you're totally lost and he offers you a draw, I'd rather play on. And if you play well, maybe you win. If you don't play well, maybe you lose, but you deserve it because you've lost and played badly. And if you both play okay, maybe it's still a draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you need to get a fighting spirit and not offer a draw. And as we saw, you've got lots of play. So in this position, we worked out, well, were it me, black just having a look at this, I would say, okay, I could look at bishop. Let's have a look. Bishop b3 or something. Let's put the king back. All right. I could play bishop b3 to maybe tie his rook down a bit. And he's in a bit of a mess there. Or, whoops, I've gone too far. I've gone back the wrong way, sorry folks. All right, I could play f4, which wouldn't be too bad because I think I'm gaining space, and then I've got g4, and I'm sort of storming those pawns at him. So I think that would be something I'd have a bit of a look at. I might look at just ganging up on the d pawn, like we talked about before. But then if I'm tactically inclined, as you've already said, you can just take him. And if he takes back, Zappo, because we look at all checks and captures, and that's 2 captures. If he takes us back, we pick up his knight. And if he doesn't, we've just picked up a pawn. So in fact, you could have been a pawn ahead. So you've let him off rather lightly. Yeah, so that was a bit sad.
Yeah.
All right, but an interesting lesson for everyone in that we try not to offer draws, and if we don't know what to do, we analyse the nature of the position and see if we can work out something. In fact, actually, it's interesting because most players, not just juniors but adults, they can't just sit around and slowly improve their position. They always think they've got to be doing something. So if you just make little moves, you know, double the rook or play a6 or h6 or just something like that, they'll often just self-destruct and they come for some irrational attack or overreach. So you can just hang around for a bit and let your opponent self-destruct. At least it works for me. All right, let's have a look at the second game, which is against Rebecca. We might even say...
I'm going to work out variation for that opening.
Okay, we might even say hello to Rebecca. You there, Rebecca?
Hi, Robert.
Hi, how are you tonight?
Good.
We've got your game with Ryan coming up soon, so it ended up being an exciting draw from memory. I think I was watching this one in one of the final games in the rundown. So we might ask you a question or two as we go throughout the game, but hopefully you'll follow it with interest. Right, thanks, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Okay, now we've got Ryan as white. So let's see how we go here. E4, D5, knight F3. No, I've seen this before. D4. All right. That's a bit different. Why are you doing D4?
Well, it's because I sort of learned that opening some time ago.
This is the Scotch game.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So this is one of your openings you learn.
Yeah. My chess coach taught me this one.
Yeah, I like this much better because in a lot of my talks I've been talking about getting the 2 pawns side by side in the opening, whereas in the other game everyone put their pawn on d3 and d6, and that wasn't too exciting at the start. All right, so Rebecca takes, you take, and she plays this funny move, queen d7, e7 rather. Rebecca, why are you wanting to put your queen on e7?
Not really quite sure.
Okay. Does your coach tell you not to bring your queen out early in the game?
Yes.
Yep. That's what I tell all the students too. So queen e7's, you're threatening the e-pawn, but it's probably a bit naughty because the queen's in the way of the bishop and the knight and stuff. All right,
Yeah.
so probably not the greatest move, but never mind. All right, thanks, Rebecca. Okay, so you defended your pawn. She attacked it. You defended, so that's all fine. And Rebecca played g6 because her bishop's blocked in by the queen. All right, now I want everyone to have a think here about what you would play for white. There might be 2 or 3 moves. And on the question, if you can type in for me what you reckon would be a good move for white in this position. Ryan's having a think as well. Max is suggesting bishop e3 or h4. Sean saying knight takes c6. Sam's going bishop c4. Heath's going bishop g5. William, Lachlan, Martin, Jason's going bishop c4. Rebecca's bishop g5. Max is going, gee, we've got heaps of moves. You know the funny thing? No one's come up with the move you played. Do you remember the move you played?
Not really.
Okay, you played bishop b5. So tell me, why does your bishop want to go to b5?
Because it attacks the knight.
Okay, why do you want to attack the knight?
Because it might be a bit. We just want to. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure it is. Isn't the bishop and knight, they're the same value, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so doing a swap is no great value, and it's protected twice.
Yeah.
So is this a good move?
Not really.
No, that was a bad move. All right.
So maybe.
So what would be a really good move?
Bishop g5.
Yes. Oh, hang on, I've gone too far. Yes, so what William and Lachlan and everyone, bishop g5 would have been really cool. So what do you think Black would reply then?
Maybe bishop g7.
Yeah, because you've got this naughty pin. And how can you follow up?
Knight d5.
Knight d5, so now you're hitting queen and the c7. So Rebecca would have to drop her queen back. So has she got everything defended, or you've got a really good move here as well?
Let's see.
You've been moving forward, so it looks promising, but she's defending everything.
What about e5?
e5, the knight would probably just take it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? You have a really good move. It needs some help, guys. You want to type in on the question? White has a good move here, and Ryan hasn't spotted it yet. We're getting a few suggestions here. We're getting knight takes c6 from Lachlan and Max, f4 from Haran. Sean wants to go bishop e5, which we didn't like last time. Queen e2 from Jason. Someone said it. Okay. Rebecca, tell everyone, what's a really good move for white here?
Knight b5.
Very good, well done. See, knight b5, and that c7 pawn is dead. It's pinned, everything else is pinned. See, so that would have been a killer for you. All right, so that was bad luck. So you ended up developing the wrong bishop. All right, never mind, we'll plot on. So Rebecca went there, and then something strange happened. You took it. Why did you want to take it?
Because I have nothing else to do.
Okay. You couldn't have castled or something?
Yeah,
or?
I could have.
So taking the knight, does that improve your position? Is that good for you?
Not really,
Not really, no. You spent 2 moves just swapping bishop for knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so bad plan. Never mind. She took back with the B pawn. You then went for castles, which is good. She went for castles. All this is looking okay. Rook E1, putting the rook on the same file as the queen. Yep, I'm happy with all that. Rebecca went Queen C5. Does that move worry you?
Oh, it's pinning the knight.
It's pinning the knight.
So you might be able to do the knight somewhere in the...
Oh, kamikaze, might be kamikaze knight, and then the bishop will take on D4.
Yeah.
So you're a bit worried about that.
Yes.
So what can we do?
Maybe E5.
Right, let's do the proper thing. So you're meant to look at candidate moves. So you give me a couple of candidate moves here.
Bishop E3.
Bishop E3, all right, that's one. That's what Max likes.
And then there's E5.
E5, right, that's another one.
Then there could be knight E2.
You could move the other knight to E2, but that's moving it off a good square back into a defensive spot. All right, so let's say we've got the 2 good candidate moves, Bishop E3 or E5. All right, so some of you guys have suggested which one you prefer. So everyone type in the question, do you prefer Bishop E3 for white or E5 for white if you had to choose? White's moves now. Couple going for Bishop E3. Max says he's sick. I'm not sure what he's sick of. Sean's gone for E5.
He's sick of staying what he wore.
Rebecca's gone Knight B3. Will probably be really good. Jason's gone E5. Looks like most of them prefer Bishop E3.
Yeah.
Okay. William says he prefers Bishop E3. Let's have a chat to William. You there, William? I've just unmuted you.
Yes, I am, Robert.
Hi. Now, you prefer Bishop E3, do you?
I do.
All right. Can you explain to Ryan why you prefer Bishop E3?
Well, I prefer Bishop E3 because it blocks the pin of the knight and it's putting your bishop in line with the queen, which could be dangerous later.
Okay. All right. That sounds pretty good. All right.
Attacks.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, William. So what do you think, Ryan? Has he convinced you Bishop E3 or you prefer E5?
Well, I don't really know still. Oh, well, I think Bishop E3 is a fair enough move.
Yeah, all right. If it were me, I would just play Bishop E3 because that's a really good spot for the bishop. Blocks the pin, the bishop's on the same diagonal as queen, and you can do it in about 2 seconds. You think, nothing wrong with that, that's a good move, I'll do it. All right, E5 is sort of attacking, but it's a bit risky because it's like you're attacking, but you haven't completed your development yet. You haven't developed your bishop, your queen's still in the back rank, your rooks aren't connected. So a lot of juniors, they sort of attack too early. It's better to build up first. So let's have a look what happened. You went for E5. Okay. So where should Rebecca put the knight, do you think?
Maybe so there's H5 or there's E8
or there's D5.
Oh yeah, there's D5. D5 looks like a good square.
Okay, let's have a chat to Rebecca. Rebecca, where do you reckon you should put that knight?
Knight D5.
D5. Now in the game you put it on H5, so you've changed your mind, have you?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know, I don't remember this game.
Alright, so okay, well why have you chosen D5 now?
Because it's attacking the pawn at the same time as attacking his knight on C3.
Attacking the knight on C3, okay. Alright, I think you're probably right. I think I agree with you. So, thank you, Rebecca. I'll just mute you back again. Right, so what we try and do is we try and put our pieces on the best square. Now, is H5 a good square for that knight?
I'm not sure, because it's on the edge of the board.
And where can it go from H5?
Nowhere.
Nowhere, okay. So it's probably not the greatest square in history. Whereas d5, maybe we can swap off knights. That wouldn't be too bad. So a little bit of a mistake from Rebecca. Going to h5, so I can get my mouse moving again. Here we go, h5. Now you went f4. Because, oh, she was attacking your e pawn. All right, so that looks logical. Was there any other move you looked at apart from f4?
Oh, well, maybe g4.
g4.
Then that might weaken your king a bit.
Might win a free knight.
Yeah, I know, but yes.
What do you think? Is it good or bad or not sure?
I think it's good.
You think it's good? You didn't play. You didn't see it, or you chose not to play it?
I chose not to play it. I think it looked a bit dangerous.
Yeah, this is the trouble with knights on the edge. Often you can get them trapped. So g4 is interesting. So it's attacking the knight, and the knight can't go anywhere. But she can counterattack by taking your pawn there.
And then she's attacking our knight.
And attacking the knight. And now the knight's got retreat squares. So is that the end of our analysis, or was there something else we should look at? The knight's pinned.
Maybe you should look at bishop e3.
Yes, yes. So we don't just stop there. We look at bishop e3. Okay, putting the bishop where we want it. Now, if the knight was to move, let's say Rebecca puts the knight back on f6, what would be a really good move for white?
Knight e6.
Yes. Discovered attack on the queen. So we're picking up the exchange for our pawn. Our king's still fairly comfy, so that wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would probably be okay. All right, so we didn't go in for that line. We went in for the f4. Okay, and then Rebecca started attacking our advanced pawn, which is fair enough. We chased her queen around a bit. And we unpinned, which probably is reasonable. Maybe bishop, or if you do bishop e3, I suppose you've got to worry about the b pawn. Rebecca saw this nice juicy free pawn in the middle and took it. We took it back. All right. This is another interesting position. So I'll give you guys another question. So you're black. It looks like you can just take that pawn on e5 for nothing, picking up a free pawn. Would be handy.
Okay.
So do you want to do that, or is there something else you might want to do? Black to play, so type in on the question what move you'd play for black. Lachlan says he thinks he saw something, but he hasn't told us what it is. Could have been rain outside his window. We'll never know. I'm not getting many answers, so it's pretty tricky. Hang on. Nick's come up with an interesting idea. Lachlan reckons, oh, it was 10 moves ago. Sean's taking on e5. Max is playing f5. Looks a bit daring. Mitch is playing f5.
F5. Knight f5, I mean.
Oh, knight f, what? Knight f. The pawn f5, I'm thinking, but that's not good. Oliver wants to play bishop takes e5. I want to play f7, f5.
Oh, for black, yes.
All right. Some of you have seen it already, so congratulations to Thomas and Evan and Nick, because Rebecca could have played the sneaky move rook d8.
Oh, wait,
Now your knight is pinned. Okay, and if you play, say, c3, no, she's got pawn to c5.
Right.
And it looks like you could be dropping a piece there.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a problem. All right, so that was an interesting example where it's like you have an obvious move. Rebecca can take that pawn, win a pawn, you know, everyone would just look at that and play it. But it often pays to pause and have a look around at other moves, and you might find a really good move. Max went for rook d8 as well. So well done all you guys who found rook d8. Rebecca went bishop takes e5. You dropped the knight back. She dropped the bishop back. Now, you're a pawn down, but you're chasing your queen around a bit. Her queen's in a bit of a mess. Okay. Now, this is an interesting position too. White to play. you guys give Ryan some suggestions on white to play, because white's got a good move here. But he missed. Don't know, no hinting, Ryan. We'll have to wait and see what they say. Oliver's suggesting A4. So Rebecca missed rook d8, which was a good move a minute ago, so whether Ryan's just missed something. Jason likes A4. Rebecca wants knight C3. Max is going G4. Ooh. My king feels very airy, Max. I think you still like attacking too much, Max. Mitch has said bishop C5. Anyone else got any ideas? We haven't heard from Lachlan or Gary or William. Jason saying knight D4. Possible. We've got lots of moves. All right, Ryan, what do you think? Does any of them appeal to you as a brilliant move?
Well, A4 doesn't look too bad. Well,
Anything else appeal?
well, not really.
Sean's got C4 question mark. All right, let me show you. What about bishop C5? Now, you're hitting the rook, so if it doesn't move, you take it, you win the exchange. Now, hang on. So you're hitting his rook,
Yes,
or her rook, rather. Okay. So the only way to save the rook is rook D8, yes?
Yes.
All right. Have you got a good move now?
Oh, check.
You could go check, knight F6 check. Is that a good move? Or should you just take it and you've dropped a piece for nothing and you resign? Okay, but you looked at the check, that's good. All right. You nearly got the right idea. Heath wanted to do that as well. Lachlan wants to go knight D6. Looks a bit dodgy. Nick wants to go knight D6. No one's seen it yet. Come on, Ryan needs some help. We've got a good move here for white. Yes, Sean. Well done, Sean. He's come in, knight C3. Have a look at this. So you're hitting the queen and the rook. So if rook takes rook, queen takes rook, black's got to move her queen, and then you go queen D8 check, thanks for the game, queen F8 mate.
Oh.
What? So that would have been cool. But we missed bishop C5. That's the trouble. There's sort of so many moves you could make, and they all look pretty good. You went, I think, for rook B1. Maybe not rook B1. That's a bit defensive. Okay, so that gives Rebecca a chance. So she now develops her pieces. So she's getting out, and she's still a pawn ahead of us. You went and biffed the queen a bit more. Rebecca went to E5. You drop back here. And Rebecca came up with a strange move, queen F6, which is probably not the best. What would be a good move for black if you were black, Ryan? Can you suggest a better move for Rebecca?
Maybe rook AB8.
Yeah, put one of the rooks on D8, maybe even the F rook. And it's a bit like the position we had before, where you've got that C5 thing, and you're all sort of pinned, because that knight's now attacked 3 times. Knight on D4 is attacked 3 times. You've got a discovered thing with the bishop, but I don't know whether it makes much difference. So rook D8 probably would have been all right. Okay, so Rebecca went queen F6. All right. Now, you have another potential good move here. So guys, you can all be Ryan. You've got a good move here. Type in what you think the good move is. William's suggesting G4. Could be all right. Rebecca wants rook F1. Jason wants queen F3. No hints, no hints. We'll let them choose first. You have a think about what you would do. Sam wants rook F1 as well. Bishop G5. Nick likes G4, so he's agreeing with William. Lachlan's got 2 moves. That's good of you, Lachlan. Rook F1 or queen F3. Evan and Heath, G4. Zoe, G4. Looks like everyone wants G4. Is that a good move?
Well, I'm not sure.
Wins a piece, doesn't it? You're attacking 2 pieces at once. What do you think?
I'm not exactly sure still, cause
Now Max has cheated as well. He's got two goes. He suggested G4 and knight takes F5.
well, knight takes F5. What about queen takes F5? And then
And guess what? Max is right. You went G4, which is okay. It sort of wins a piece, but if first you take the knight,
oh,
now the pawn can't take because you've got queen takes the other knight, takes with the queen. Now you play G4. So you got rid of one of the attacking pieces and you're winning a piece for a pawn or so, and your king's a bit safer now than it would have been in the other line. So knight takes F5 would have been probably the best. You went for the G4, and now Rebecca hits you with a friendly check, runs away, you zapped it, zapped. All right, we've got 5 seconds to find a good move for white. What are you going to choose? 1, 2,
Rook F1.
3. Rook F1.
no, not really.
Guess what? Rook F1's the move you played in the game.
Yeah.
All right, hang on.
G5, no.
Hang on, tell me, why do you want to play Rook
Because
F1?
then you trade off of some pieces.
Why do you want to trade off pieces?
Because you're up in material.
All right. So your brain is saying, I know I'm up in material, and the rule is when I'm up in material, I swap pieces. Okay. That's true, but rules don't apply in all positions. So this is how you become a good player. Firstly, you know the rules, but you know when to break the rules. So in this position, you've got piece for pawn. But what's the danger for you? What would you be a little bit worried about in this position?
Trade off every single piece and choose a pawn.
No, but in this particular position, what's not so good for you?
The open file.
What about your airy king?
Oh yeah.
You've got a really airy king, and she's still got rook and bishop and queen and quite a few attacking pieces. So your priority should be to kill all the attack, then you swap off the pieces. So what would be a logical developing move that's going to stop any attacking from going on?
Bishop F4.
Not so much bishop F4. Or at me, I would just play queen E2. So I've developed my queen. The queen's helping cover all the squares in front of the king and everything. Then next move, if you want, you play rook F1 and swap off for all you like. But so let's compare that with what happened. So hang on. So I've gone back too far. All right. So you went rook F1. All right. So you've forced the queen to a more attacking square, and then you've swapped. So now, before, you had a defensive rook on F1, and her rook was way on A8 not attacking. So now she's got like 3 attacking pieces, and you've lost one of your main defenders. So that wasn't a good plan. And she's also attacking your G3 pawn. So you went in queen E1. She zoomed up with a double attack, and you said, I'll have this nice free pawn over here. She said, okay, let's swap queens. I wonder, is that the best? Maybe she's done what you've just done. Because remember, you swapped rooks because you could, and she recaptured with developing move, yes, on F8? So if she takes your queen, you're recapturing with developing move, aren't you? So what might be a better plan for her?
Rook takes G3.
Yeah, maybe she could just play rook takes G3. Then if you swap, it's sort of the same position, except white's rook isn't on E1, and black's got the extra pawn. Yeah, so Rebecca's fallen for the same trap, the I love swapping attack, which is what you just did to her. So she's returned the favour. Whoops, hang on, let's go back where we were. Okay, so bishop H7, queen takes queen, so slight mistake. All right, rook takes queen, then she took, you took back, and she took. All right, now let's stop here because this was the position we had at the start when you guys were waiting for the lesson to begin that I wanted you to have a look at. So what move would you play for white, and what's your idea? Okay, because this is rather interesting. I remember I was standing behind you guys watching you play here. Now you're in time trouble, so you didn't have much time to think. So you can be forgiven if you didn't play the best line. Don't suggest anything. So you guys, I think we'll have a little poll. How about that? I'll give you, where are we? Where's my poll questions? All right, I'll give you 4 choices. All right. You can either play rook e2, or you might want to play rook takes e6, or you might want to play king g2, or 4th choice, any other move. So they're rook e2, rook takes e6, king g2. It's a pretty tricky position, and I'll be surprised if many people get it right. So I'll give you another 5 seconds to decide. Rook e2, rook takes e6, king g2, or another move. Right, let's launch the poll. Start voting. And the votes are coming in. So far, another move is winning. Rook e6 is coming second. King g2 is coming third. Okay. All right, 5 more seconds. We'll close the poll. Let's have a look at the results. What have we got? Another move.
What's another move?
I wonder what other move they want. Rook e6 has come second. So, now, well, all of those of you who put another move, type in the question what the other move is you'd play. Because Ryan here, you can't think of any other moves, can you? We only looked at those 3. We're shaking our heads here. So type in. So Max likes bishop d4 because he's attacking and he wants to threaten that rook. Evan's gone rook a1. Max has gone still gone bishop d4 twice. Thomas gone bishop b8, as is Jason. Sam's gone rook e3. Gabby didn't like anything. Rebecca's gone rook c1. There's quite a lot of moves there. Let's go back. Where's Evan? Evan, I've unmuted you. Can you speak to me?
Yes.
Yeah, how you doing?
Hello.
Now you came up with rook a1. Why does your rook want to go on a1? Isn't that a silly square for a rook?
I wanted to quickly get my pawn to the other side and promote it.
Ah, so you're going to put your rook on a1 and push that a pawn. Is that the plot, is it?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for that. Well, guess what, folks? What do you think, Ryan?
Well, I
Is
think I
that
like
good?
rook e2.
You like rook e2 to defend the pawn?
Yeah, and if he takes, we just come back to g2.
And you've got things to defend. All right. Now,
Oh no, but then the a2 pawn will get attacked.
now in positions like this, you can do lots of takes and defends and all that sort of stuff. And it's very easy just to think in the moment. But in the back of your mind, you should also try and consider the big picture.
Oh.
All right? So if you're white, how are you going to win?
By trading off the rooks.
So if you could swap off the rooks, you'd win with your extra bishop, yep. Any other way you could win? If he keeps the rooks on, how are you going to win? Because he's going to chop all your pawns. You won't be able to get a queen.
Defend all my pawns.
Yeah, if you could defend enough pawns and stabilise the position, you'll win. But the other way is Evan's way. He's looked at this and said, I'm going to win by my A pawn being a passed pawn. I don't give a stuff about all those other pawns. So if I play rook a1, well done, Evan, only bloke who got it. So let's say he takes the pawn. You rush up a4. Maybe he takes another pawn. Now you can do a sneaky move here. You can do bishop c5. So he can't go rook f4 to f8 because you've got it covered. And he's really struggling to stop that pawn. Or if he does, it'll cost him a rook and he'll be all tied down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this would have been a good plan. But it's very hard to spot unless you sort of have an overview as to what you're trying to do.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what you did in the game, you went chops. Probably not so good, because Rebecca's there like crazy trying to take all your pawns. So she's snaffling pawns. So you've got to keep some pawns or it's going to be a draw. Do you remember where you put your bishop now?
No.
Okay, well, you should have put it on e5. That would protect your pawn, double attack on the c pawn. You can protect everything with bishop f4. That would have been cool. That was a good square, because we're putting our pairs in a good square. You retreated. So that wasn't quite so good. She went up there, and then what should you do here if you want to win?
Bishop H2 or Bishop F2.
F2 or king up even.
Yes.
You've got to defend those pawns. But you're busy taking her pawns, and she's taking your pawns. And you've only got one pawn left. So what's going to happen? We're going to have a swap. But a funny thing happened. You left your bishop there, you got her pawn, and then there were going to be no more pawns. So she got a draw. Well done, Rebecca. Good comeback. That was in a big time scramble, so anything could have happened. But you see now how it would have been better. Either go for the A pawn, because you work out that's how you're going to win, or protect all your pawns or some of your pawns, and it would have been safe. But that was a good game. I enjoyed playing through that game. All right. What can we learn from that game, do you think?
Don't trade off too many pieces.
Yeah. If nothing's happening and you're ahead, sure, swap off pieces. But if, like, you've got an open king, you've got to protect your king first. And so we don't always obey the rules. We consider the rules, but we know when to break them. So that was a little bit of a mistake swapping off. Anything else we can learn?
Don't.
Remember you played e5 maybe when you should have played bishop e3 in the opening and built up before you attacked. So you attacked a little bit early. And there are a few tactical things we missed there too. But that was a good game between two fairly strong players. So well done, guys. All right, David hasn't told me who's coming in next week, so we'll have to make it a surprise, but I'm sure he'll tell someone. We might even have another Tasmanian from afar as our guest next week. But I hope you enjoyed tonight's lesson. I thought they were two rather interesting games, and we'll look forward to seeing you all next week. So thank you very much for enjoying our lesson today. Bye-bye, everyone.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be disconnected.